at one stage in my house with such conviction, the neighbors called 911. I guess spiritual clearing is a lot like arson.
Today, we're talking about spirituality, what it is, what it is not, and why so many of us are connecting with something deeper than ourselves while still wondering if Mercury retrograde isn't responsible for that Costco bill. I'm Beth.
I'm Jennifer.
This is Two in the Closet, and this is Spiritual AF. Let's get into it.
Let's get started.
Yes. And before we do that, let me just properly call to order.
Yes.
You want to be careful.
Yes, that is it. Oh, I like that sound. It's like a mini sound bath.
From a mini sound bowl.
I
got
like it.
this at a temple in
I love
China.
that. You know, when you did that sound, it gave me a jolt.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Okay. So we're going to talk about spirituality,
Yes.
what it is, what it isn't. What even is spirituality? Because for me, I used to think that spirituality meant hellfire and damnation and a mansion in the sky, one or the other. Now I know it can look like crying during a sunset or saying a silent prayer in the Trader Joe's parking lot.
I've done that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I used to think that it was more outside stuff. So I thought it was more like the hippy dippy stores that I liked, the tie dye, the candles, the music. I thought that was spirituality. And there's so much more. It's more inner how you feel. Now that I know that as I'm older, it's not necessarily your tie dye t-shirt.
So would I be correct in assuming that you attended the Church of the Grateful Dead?
Once I went to one show,
You
yes.
really strike me as a deadhead.
Yes. I mean,
Maybe for
yeah, we're not going to talk about it.
my path has taken some twisty turns because I was raised very fundamental Christian Southern Baptist. And like I said, everything was hellfire damnation or pearly gates and golden streets and mansions in the sky,
Right.
right?
Right.
As I have grown and done lots of study, I have learned a lot of things about religion versus spirituality, and they're not the same.
No.
Um, one of the quotes that I love is religion is for people afraid of going to hell, and spirituality is for those who've already been there.
I like that one.
Yeah,
I like that
but
one.
from my perspective, I see religion and its beginnings as a way to control the masses. You know, they took out books of the Bible. King James, the King of England, actually put his own edit in to keep things like free will out of it, to keep people under control with the fear of burning in a fiery pit forever, right? And if you're really, really good and you behave, then you get to go to the pearly streets, right? So it was over history, it's been shown that religion is a way to
Interesting.
control.
It's very
Um,
interesting.
Yeah, spirituality for me, very much like you, is it's an inner connection with something bigger.
Yes.
I have a lot of names for it. When I first started in the teachings that I'm in now, I was very triggered by the word God because I was raised to believe that God was a literal man up in the clouds
Right. Right.
with a beard, right? And as I started to learn that God is spirit, is infinite love, is the universe, the universal presence, all the
Right.
different names that I can call it, um, I stopped using God for a while, and then I was like, okay, I'm comfortable with using because my perspective has changed. I know
Right.
that God is not that guy in the sky,
Right.
right?
Your views are different.
Yeah, and spirituality for me is really being able to be connected with that presence through stillness and a lot of different ways that I think we're going to talk about today.
Stillness. I agree with you. For me, it's about connecting to myself,
Mhm.
being still.
Yeah,
Definitely being still, quiet, no matter,
yeah,
if you're meditating but we'll get into that.
yeah.
But
And I think A Course in Miracles says heaven is not a place, it's a state of consciousness. So I think that stillness, when you tap into it, that is a little taste of heaven because it is that peaceful,
Right.
unbotherable space,
Right.
right? And religions and people that really consider themselves more spiritual than religious, we all have rituals that we do. We all have things that mean a lot to
Yes,
us.
we do.
Um, what are some of your rituals? What do they mean to you? Why do you do them?
Okay. So to me, a ritual is kind of a special time. Sounds funny, but um, an hour, 30 minutes. I take a bath. That's one thing I do. I take a bath. I sometimes close the lights in the bathroom. I light a candle. I light an incense. I actually will put Epsom salt sometimes in the
Mhm,
tub,
mhm,
or like lavender or eucalyptus, depending the kind of mood I'm in. And I will lay there in the water, and my mind goes completely, well, sometimes it goes completely clear and
mhm,
quiet because every day is like a hustle and bustle, and I have like 50 million things going on in my head and I can't concentrate. So when I'm in the bath, it's just me, water, and I am laying there in silence, in peace, and my noise in my head just kind of goes quiet.
mhm.
And that's where I could really do my thinking and my, decision making.
Yeah, yeah.
So for me, it's like kind of purifying, um, letting go of the
Mhm.
day even. Um,
Being reborn,
yes,
being in the womb.
yes, that's
I
what,
always feel like I'm in the womb,
yes.
in the perfect bath.
I actually, even when I don't feel well, if I'm under the weather, taking a bath
Mhm.
just is very calm for me.
And incense, you use incense, right?
Incense, they elevate the experience. They bring back memories, emotions. They make me relax when I smell I like Chamba. I love that.
Mhm.
It also cleans the space. So
Yes.
if you had a fight with someone,
We
or
did that
yes,
sage.
we didn't have a fight, but if you have a fight,
Always
or
clearing the
there you
energy.
have someone come over and you just, I don't know, your place just got cleaned. It's just a nice kind of pure starting new, starting
Yes.
fresh. So
Yeah,
those are the two things that
yeah.
I really like to do.
I could go on about this because I have so many.
I know you do. But
Uh,
what are yours? What are you?
meditation for sure. Uh, meditation is similar to what you described when you're in your bath. So stillness. I call prayer talking to God and meditation listening to God. And again, not the guy in the sky, but the presence, the
Right.
infinite intelligence that I am part of. So I love meditation because when I practice it, I feel more grounded and I
Hmm.
feel more prepared for whatever is next. And for me, doing it in the morning, I know I can absolutely tell the difference from when I do and when I don't.
Oh,
Because
100%.
when I don't, my day starts going sideways every which way, very easily, very triggered, all that stuff. So meditation for me is a fundamental, foundational piece of my spirituality. Journaling goes right there.
Mm,
My morning is
they
incense.
do like to journal.
The incense tells my body and my spirit it's time to sit.
Right.
So I always burn incense, meditate, I write in my journal, and that is everything from dreams that I had the night before to insights. I always am reading something in the morning too, so I may write about what I read, and I may turn that into a Facebook post a lot of times.
Yes.
Journaling, whether it's a forgiveness journal, a gratitude
No
journal,
matter what you're
or
writing
just
something.
free yes, because also the connection to the brain, the hand, and to the
Right.
paper it helps with your, neurological
Okay. You do this every day.
well-being.
Every day.
Absolutely.
Every day.
Yes. So journaling, sound baths. I am a huge fan of sound
Yes,
baths.
they
I
are
have had a
wonderful.
couple of amazing experiences. One was in Joshua Tree at the
Mm,
Integratron. I won't go into a lot about that, but Google Integratron. It is an amazing, perfectly acoustic,
okay.
no metal structure, all wood.
Wow.
And it's
I'm gonna
all
look that up.
old. old generation wood, that term is. Um, and it's round. And so you can stand on one side of the room and whisper, and the people that are right next to you won't hear you, but the
Wow.
person directly across from you will.
Okay.
And it's the human energy field. I think it's 64 feet in diameter, which is the length or the diameter of a human energy field. So you are connected to everybody in there. And they do crystal bowl sound baths.
Nice.
And when I tell you that people fall asleep, whew, it's so peaceful. So I
Yes.
love that. I went to a sound bath at a candlelit church outside of downtown LA, which was
That sounds interesting.
transcendent. And then, of course, you and I had our sound bath down in Laguna after my baby passed away. We went down there
Yeah.
and that was healing.
That was, I had a ha moment.
You
Remember?
did. You
Yes, I had a ha moment.
did.
I, it's the first time that I really felt like I, like, not a not a body experience, but like, oh wow, I didn't force this. And I was
Yeah.
still,
Yeah.
it it would pictured me like writing, like
Mhm.
it was telling me to write more.
That's right. I remember.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was the coolest thing because I woke up. Well, I wasn't sleeping, but I opened my eyes when it was over and I remember telling you. And I think being still, when you're still, even for 5 minutes, it really
It
things can
clears some mental
yeah,
garbage out of
yeah,
your awareness so that you can be open to have an and that insight doesn't
really.
necessarily come while you're in that meditation, but it could come 5 hours later when an idea just, like, popped out of nowhere,
Right.
and you weren't even in that area of thinking. So that's meditation clears cobwebs out of
Yeah.
your mind.
It was absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing.
And I think when we talk about rituals and what we do, I always do these things as an intention setting thing. Not it's not performative and it's not superstitious. Like if you don't do this, something
Oh,
will
okay.
happen,
Okay.
or
Okay.
I have to get the bad energy. I mean, I do it clears energy, but it's it's
You
not
don't right,
superstition.
right. I do yes, I agree
Yeah.
with you.
But I think intention setting, no matter what you're doing, I mean, intention setting is part of what I do in my journaling in the morning for the rest of the day. Sometimes
Right.
I'll stand in the shower and I will just say, have an amazing day. This is what I plan on accomplishing. I do that when I'm still in bed. I do it with my cats. I'm like, it's going to have a great day.
Right.
Have the best day ever. But I think it's important to not just do these things, but to have that intention and to be
To say it out
and to
loud.
remind yourself
Right.
of it, right?
To say it
Instead
out
of
to say it out loud.
yeah, it's like, oh my god, I gotta sit and meditate right now. Well, why? If it's
Mm,
have a purpose,
right.
to still my mind, to be clearer headed, to be more open to guidance,
Right.
whatever that.
And also, I think this is really important. A lot of times people say, and I've said this, I'm too busy to meditate,
Mhm.
too busy to go to a sound bath, I'm too busy, busy, busy. There's so many things online that are free, but also even you could sit for 10 minutes alone and say an
Yes.
affirmation.
My teacher, Michael Beckwith, says to people that can't afford the time to meditate, you can't afford not to.
Right.
And that's really true. Uh,
I
there
agree.
there are some rituals that are, for me out there.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm pretty open and experimental with
Okay.
if something interesting pops up and somebody wants to do it, I'll do it. So, there's this guy, he's called the gazer, as in I gaze at
Okay.
you,
I
right?
gaze at you. I look at you.
And, he is able to heal people. He doesn't speak a word, but he just
Mhm.
stands in front of throngs of people and stares at them.
Wow.
And so I thought, uh, this might be pushing my envelope a
Right.
little too far. I'm not sure I believe this. So
Wow.
my spiritual center used to have 3 services on Sundays, and, they were the same it was the same format. It was just early morning, 9 AM, and then 11:30. And this guy was going to come to all three at the end of each service and just stand up at the pulpit
Hmm.
and slowly pan through and pause with each person for a couple of seconds.
Wow,
And
that's
he
so cool.
literally looked at everybody that would make eye contact with him in that room. And that room holds 1,500. So we're talking, you're there for a little bit, not a terrible, maybe a couple hours tops. So anyway, he does this 3 times.
Wow.
And I had a couple of friends that were ushers. So one of my girlfriends was an usher for 2 of those 3 services. And it's almost like I want to say received his gaze. I don't
Right. Well, yeah, you
But yeah, I mean,
connected.
they made their eye contact, and she got violently ill and was sick, and I even think she had to be hospitalized
What?
because she was throwing up.
Oh, yeah.
And
It's power. I'm
so
telling you.
it healed her of something, I don't know what, but I wonder if those kind of that was a little weird for me, and I kinda think that you get into group think, it's almost like a cult mentality, and it's
Right.
we all agree that something's happening just because somebody keeps repeating it, you know?
Right. Right.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's real or not.
I don't know
I
either.
felt creeped out. Maybe I would feel different now because I'm more comfortable with
Yeah,
people
that would
and
be interesting to see how you would feel now. I kind of had an experience. I had a healing. I think she did a healing. It was Reiki, maybe.
Mhm.
I don't know if I'm saying it right, but
Reiki.
Reiki. I went to her house, and she was a lovely woman. And I remember she told me to bring water, and she was doing this healing on me with her hands, and her hands never touched me. And I felt like this heat and this vibration. It's this first time I've ever done anything like that.
Mhm.
And I got sick. I got so nauseous. I was sweating, and I never felt that way before. And it was so scary, that I kind of ran out of there, a little spooked, but I did feel better. I felt like, cle- clearer,
Mhm.
but it definitely, I was like, wait, how could someone not like touch you and all this stuff could happen?
Energy
Right.
thing.
But I didn't know that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, it was very interesting.
Reiki is an amazing tool.
It is.
It's
It is.
I am 110%. Um, I like to think about, being raised the way I was raised heavily on the Bible.
Mhm.
And when I think about a Bible verse, because there's a lot about the Bible now that I question, I'm like,
Right, right.
and knowing the history of its creation and what was left out and, the edits and all that, like, it's not a historical document. I heard somebody once say it's more like a journal of a lot of people's
Mm,
experiences. And, the truth of the matter is, back then, you didn't write things. People didn't write a lot, right? But they passed, it's called a voice to voice transmission of history and
mm.
historical events. So you would tell your generation after you, and then they would tell, it's like playing telephone,
Right. I was just
right? So by the time you get 400 or 500 years after the actual event,
Mhm.
um, it probably didn't happen the exact way that
Probably
those
not.
people wrote about in the Bible because it's been distilled and told through different lenses, right? But then the other part of it, and I saw this yesterday and I almost died laughing because we just had Easter. And this man, I think it was on TikTok, he said something about um, if you really believe that 4 dudes named Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John are from the Middle East and wrote books of the Bible, you really need to check your perspective. And I had never thought about that. Like there was nobody named Matthew, Mark, or
No,
John,
no.
and they were named Yeshua. Jesus's real name is Yeshua. Like it's Aramaic. It's like people weren't called Bob and Jen.
No. Yeah.
Oh,
Oh,
sorry, it was just
10.
funny.
That is
But
funny.
I digress. But the Bible verse that I think sums up what I believe spiritually is for in him we live, move, and have our being. And that literally confirms that our existence is within God, not separate. And that takes me back to your meditation. Like it's not, or what spirituality, what you used to think it was. Like
Yeah.
it's not out there.
Right.
It's
It's
in.
inner. It's
God
inner.
is within. We are
That's a
one with Him.
beautiful saying,
Yeah.
quote, whatever you want to.
What do you have one? I know you're Jewish.
Right. So I have one that I like. It's very simple. I like simple. You shall love your neighbor as yourself. I think that's kind of
Oh, no. Right?
is a
Oh, no, that's doing.
oh, it's similar, but it's very simple and it's just, you want to be treated and loved with respect and kindness as you would your neighbor.
Or you would want.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So
It got a little twisted,
yeah,
but I know what you're
right.
saying.
So
That's the important
right.
part.
So basically treat yourself
Mhm.
how you would want to be
Yeah.
treated
Yeah.
and others.
I love
So
that.
I think to me that
It's so simple and so basic. You can't not misconstrue it
right.
or
It's
misinterpret
simple.
it.
I like
The
simple.
only part you have to get past is your neighbor is not just the guy who lives next door to you. It's the
Right.
guy who lives in the state next to you, the country,
Everywhere.
continent.
Right.
Your neighbor is everybody on the blue planet.
Everyone is your
Yeah.
neighbor.
Yeah. But I love it. It's simple.
Yeah.
Um, I love what I love so much about where I am on my spiritual path right now is I'm very into science and spirituality. And it's something that scientists have been learning and are really it's starting to become more and more mainstream that people accept that that spirituality is not separate from science. They are
Very,
they are the same thing. So
very together.
I have a couple of teachers that have literally changed my mind or changed my life, just by reading and following their teachings. But there is science, and there one of them is doing the science, but there is science that supports what our spiritual teachers have been saying for centuries. Like now science is catching up, right?
Right.
Meditation lowers cortisol. It improves emotional regulation, right? You're not as triggered when you have that check in.
Right.
Gratitude journaling increases dopamine. If you're having trouble with finding purpose or finding a point to life, like some of us go through,
Right.
I'm grateful for my breath. I'm grateful I can see. I'm grateful my body works. Like you start at the basics. I'm
Right.
grateful I have a roof over my head.
Right.
You do that and you will see that there is so much more to be grateful for than
And something shifts.
and something shifts. And if you're really paying attention, you can feel it in your body. It's
100%.
amazing.
I'm a big believer in that.
Yeah. Spiritual community enhances well-being and longevity. And I can say you and we worked in a company that required us to work weekends. I was there for 10 years. And that meant I never got to go to my spiritual community, which
Right.
thankfully I worked at. So I was still
A part of it.
in it, but I wasn't in like the regular services. Um, and so for about 10 years, I was not part of that. And up until then, I had been super active, like even as a volunteer, I was there like every day of the week practically. When this job that we both had ended last November, I started going back. At first, I was like, "Oh, I should probably let people know, I'm alive."
Right.
Some people didn't even remember that I worked there because everything's remote except for the
Right.
services.
Right.
But then I started realizing, like, God, this is like giving my spiritual life breath again.
It's true.
Like it's like a refreshing and being around those people, whether I like them or whether they irritate me. Like it's so good to be in that community. But the science part behind all of this, epigenetics, which has been around for a long time, but um, it basically tells us that our thoughts, our behaviors, and our environment can influence how our genes are expressed. It doesn't change our DNA, but so you may have inherited a particular gene for a particular diagnosis
Right.
or a tendency, but we have the power to turn those genes on and off through our lifestyle, mindset, and choices. And Dr. Joe Dispenza, who is
You
hands
love.
down I love this man. I love this man. I love this man. I'm gonna hawk his book, Becoming Supernatural. This is life changing.
Really? I should get that book.
We talked about it a year ago, and
I
you
know.
said the same things.
And I still haven't gotten it.
Not holding my breath.
Yeah.
But think about epigenetics as our genes are the blueprint, and epigenetics is the interior designer.
Right. And you could always, when you think about it, you could
You can
always
change the
change the
interior.
interior.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
Thank you. I learned something new today.
And then another really cool thing, quantum entanglement, which because my brain, if I could do life over again, I probably would have been a scientist. But quantum entanglement says that even when we're separated, our energy stays connected, like prayer across time zones or feeling someone's presence
Oh, that is
far away. What about when I, uh, I did, this just happened with my friend Helen for 3 days last week. I kept saying, I owe Helen a phone call. I owe her a phone call. And then on the
then she,
third day, she called
that
me because she's usually the better one about actually making a call. But I feel like I sent out that
you did.
signal.
You did.
Yeah.
It's kind of like when you're thinking about someone and this just happened to me. Was thinking about someone and I think I got an email or something or a
Yeah.
text. So it really, it does, it means something.
Mhm.
It's real.
It used to happen with my mom, not the way I wanted it to.
Right.
But if she had given me a chore to do and I hadn't done it, and I legitimately just it slipped my mind, and the minute it the second it popped into my head, my mom would be in the other room. "Beth, did you do that?" I'm like, to the point I wanted to shut off my brain because I
Right.
didn't want her to I didn't want her to get in my head,
Right.
right? But, so that's the power of quantum entanglement, and it tells us that once two beings are truly connected, there's no distance, time, or silence that can ever separate their energy. So I look at it like spirit's reminder that we are never alone. We
I
never
love
are.
that. I
Yeah.
love that.
So Joe Dispenza, one other book that I highly, highly, highly recommend that I love talks about how we're connected and how our connection affects the rest of the planet and how few people it takes to shift from anger and war and hate to love and peace and prosperity. Those are just um, yeah. Um, The Map of Human Consciousness by David R. Hawkins. I just discovered him and he's amazing. So, another book, if you're struggling to start journaling, that I personally can recommend is my own book,
Yay!
Everyday Enlightenment. What I love about this is it is a book journal. So, it's got blank pages after each writing. And it's just a little something to
Love it.
read and contemplate and see how it pertains to your life or what your insights are. What I love about this is that if you go through the whole book in no particular order, when you're done with the book, you will have a journal of your own everyday enlightenment insights. So,
It's very helpful.
yeah. Um, Wrapping up the whole Joe Dispenza, who I could talk about all day. Your personality creates your personal reality. Change your mind and you can change your life.
I am a huge believer in that.
Yes. Okay. Funny.
Yes.
Anything that ever happened in one of your spiritual practices or rituals or that you've heard of that just sent you off? Like I fell asleep in yoga once and I woke myself up because I was snoring.
Really?
Uh-huh.
I farted in yoga class once.
That is awful. I've had the sound bath giggles.
Yes, I have that. But the farting is a whole different level.
Yeah. Oh, it's
Because you try
Yeah.
to cover it up and everyone knows it's you.
I was at a silent retreat and somebody near me during the meditation was snoring so loud. It was like a bear in hibernation. And that was hard not to giggle through.
Yeah, it's
Okay. Yeah. You don't seem like that's very funny.
oh no, it is funny.
It
It
is.
is funny.
Yeah.
I just had a
Okay. So
meditation moment.
I
Talent moment.
you
Yeah.
went inward.
Yeah,
Wow.
exactly.
Did you bring anything back? No. Um, if you light a lamp for someone else, it will also brighten your path.
Well, that's so
So
beautiful.
I love that. I think
I
I
love
I
that.
hope that's what we've done a little bit of today.
Yes, I hope so.
And I think we should wrap it up with some Zen personal
I
affirmation.
agree.
I've got mine ready. You've
Okay,
got yours?
I got mine ready.
Okay. I am available, I am ready, and I am open as long as nobody touches that thermostat.
I'm divine, I'm grounded, I'm allowed to take a break when I'm tired, not just when I'm done.
And remember, guys, you don't need to look the part of someone spiritual. If you pause, if you breathe, and remember that you are already connected,
You don't need a tie dye.
you're already doing it, right? My teacher, my personal teacher, Michael Beckwith, stop looking for your purpose and start living your purpose.
Exactly.
So we decided to start a segment called Lift Her Up, which is a way for us to show support to our friends that have businesses, coaching services, whatever it is that they do. So we just wanted to highlight one each week and kind of lift her up.
That's right. Lift her up.
Yeah. So today we're going to kick it off with my friend, Rev Reg Tan. Rev Reg helps professionals and organizations experience more inner peace while creating dynamic growth and sustainable progress for their personal and professional lives. So she's an amazing coach, but
That's
more
great.
than that, as a life coach, she's focused on furthering creative potential. And she also helps industry leaders transform decades of experience into a book as a researcher, writer, and influencer.
I love that.
She's done a lot of everything. She's worked with international professionals from the Philippines, Dubai, Bahrain, the US, France, London. It goes on and on. Her clientele includes everybody from actors, athletes, astrology, psychology, classical music. It goes on and on.
So she's good for
Yeah.
all.
She's been working as a freelance life coach for 14 years straight.
Okay.
And she basically relies on mouth to mouth referrals. So here we are giving you
That's great.
and saying if you need help, she's a consistent advocate for people to do what they love.
I love that.
And to love what they do, which is my favorite quote in the whole world. So one of the best ways for her to live a truly fulfilling, successful life is to help others. So if you are interested,
I love that.
her email, I will also put it in the show notes, is reg, R-E-G, metaphysical researcher at gmail.com. You can book a discovery call with her. If you need help in any area of your life, I feel pretty certain she'd be the perfect.
Oh, that's great. I love this idea.
Lift her up.
I love it. I love that.
And as we wrap up another fun time.
Well, thanks for joining us in the closet, whether you're covered in crystals or cat hair. We see you. We love you, and we will be here next week.
Yes, we will meet you right here in this closet. Peace, love, and namaste.
Namaste.